Hey guys, in this video I want to accomplish two things. First off, I want to answer the question, can continuous video or LED lighting work for photography, or do you have to go with strobes or flash to get really good results? And secondly, we're going to look at 3 really great studio LED video lights and see which one might work the best for a photographer. Now when it comes to photography, there really is no substitute for a good set of quality strobes or flashes if you want to do studio photography. However, if you're like us and you do a ton of hybrid work where you're often doing video and photo in the same session, or if you're just super intimidated by the idea of dealing with syncing up flashes or strobes with shutter speeds and learning how high-speed sync works and all of that, let's face it, it's not a complete walk in the park, and the prospect of what you see is what you get lighting, where what you're modeling is exactly what you're going to get in the photograph when you take that photo. That's really compelling. So the question is, what do you sacrifice if you don't invest in flashes and strobes and if you just go straight to video lighting? Well, fortunately, that list is not very big, and I'd say that for most of your work, a set of decent LED studio lights will do the trick just fine. Where you might have a problem though is when you shoot outside in bright daylight. The output of these LED lights is pretty good, but it's nowhere near as powerful as these strobes and flashes, and it's not going to overpower the sun at full strength. So if you need any sort of fill or directional light in severe clear type lighting, it's probably not going to help very much to pull out one of these. You're going to need to find some shade, wait until sunlight or some cloud coverage, or again, shoot with one of these. The other time it's less helpful is when you need to freeze the action. A video light isn't going to work as well at a wedding dance floor where it's just not going to have the output, which will allow you to shoot at fast shutter speeds. But a bright flash, on the other hand, can certainly allow you to freeze the action on the dance floor and can simplify the process, and you can shoot with slower shutter speeds. The other drawback is that you have to have a pretty powerful power source. Most of these LED video lights do have a D-tap battery for a battery bank, but these will chew through power extremely quickly, whereas even one of these small flashes will cost a fraction of the price, will give you a lot of luxification, and will run on just 4 AA batteries, which will last through a whole session no problem. The other thing is that where these studio LED lights are more consumer level, they don't have sufficient output for certain situations. For intimate work like interviews, headshots, YouTube videos, and that sort of thing, they're great. But if you need to shoot more active stuff like music videos or models walking around, you'll need to put these lights further away, and you'll probably find that the output isn't quite enough for what you need. For those types of shoots, you really need more expensive Fresnel lights, and that's just a different league and a different budget of video lighting. These lights, they need to be pretty close to the subject for you to get the full value out of them. And even then, you do have to weigh your exposure settings a little bit. If you start to narrow that aperture, you're going to have to get the shutter speed lower and maybe even start cranking the ISO. Whereas again, with the flashes, you're not going to have that problem at all. You can shoot at ISO 100 pretty much all the time with whatever setting, and it's no issue at all. But aside from those drawbacks, video lighting can be excellent. We used to use strobes a lot, but the prospect of taking down video lights and putting up strobes every time we needed to switch between video and photography, it just blah. I'm way too lazy for that sort of thing. It's really nice just to be able to use any camera and not worry about how you're going to have to sync it with a strobe or flash with different triggers and sync ports. And where we shoot a lot with vintage cameras also, who knows if those will even work with flash. So video lighting has just become our de facto, except when we need to shoot, like I said, outdoor in harsh sun. The other advantage for portraiture or headshot is with the video lighting, you're going to see more of the iris and less of the pupil because your subject's eyes will dilate. This is nice to get that color of the eye front and center with those catch lights illuminating them, whereas with strobes or flash, the bright light is intermittent, so the pupil will not dilate. You'll see much less of the iris. But beyond that, it's just really nice to work with light when you know what you're seeing is what you're going to get when you pull that shutter trigger. Call me a lightweight photographer, but after years of dealing with strobes and flashes, it's very nice just to switch a light on, increase or decrease the brightness, and position the light right where it needs to be and start snapping away. No metering of the light, no test shots, no troubleshooting. It's just a big time saver. So if you've heard all that and you're interested in finding a video light that is right for you, I do have 3 here, and I don't really care what you get. This is not a sponsored video, although 2 of these lights were sent to us by resellers or manufacturers. My review here will be as honest as I can make it. The Aputure 120D really is the standard in the sub 200 watt LED studio light arena. This light is the one that I've been using as my key light for over the past year. It's usually sitting right over there, and it has a really awesome modifier that I don't know if I'll be able to fit in the frame, but yeah, it's the Light Dome 2, also by Aputure. Beautiful modifier, not cheap, but kind of the no compromise portrait lighting modifier. A half a meter away, this light provides 30,000 lux, whatever that means. In practical terms though, this light works great when it's 3 feet, around 3 feet. You have to start to crank the ISO a bit when you pull it back further though. But I mean, closer the light source and the wider the modifier vis-a-vis the subject, the more soft and flattering the light anyway. So you definitely want to get this light pretty close to your subject most of the time. The light does have a Bowens mount, which is really great if you do a lot of strobe work also, because you can utilize those Bowens photo mounts. It does have an external ballast here, which is meant to hang from a C-stand. It does have a better heat dispersal, I think, than the other 2 lights I'll show you. I find that the fan doesn't kick on quite as much as the others, and when it does, it's not too loud. It has some special effects you can use, like a thunderstorm or firework effect. Some of those effects are more meaningful when you can use a full spectrum style LED, where you can get things like fire glow and police light and stuff like that. But we were able to use the thunderstorm and have some fun with that. It does have a little remote, which I love and use constantly. And if you have more than one of these, you can use them on different channels. It also has the ability to be controlled by iPad or laptop, which sounds very cool, but I've never tried it. All in all though, it's a really great light, and I've been thrilled to own it, but it wasn't cheap. I purchased this with my own money at $745 US. Our next light was sent to us by an Amazon reseller, Pergear. So if you buy this light, I'm sure they will appreciate you using their link in the description. I don't benefit from that link, it's not an affiliate link. You can tell this light was created to compete with the Aputure 120D2, and it does so very well in my estimation. The biggest advantage of it is that it's significantly more affordable at only $350 US. It is rated at fewer lux than the 120D2. At 24,000 at half a meter. However, in practice, you can see that there is very little difference. Okay, we've got the Aputure 120D2 illuminating me as the key light. It has the Light Dome 2 and a simple diffusion on the front of that. And I have a small LED panel providing some rim light, tungsten balanced, of course. Okay, now we got the Godox FV150 at full power as well, again with the Light Dome 2. The quality of light seems just as good though, and I don't understand CRI ratings really, but just looking at how they both look in a daylight balance setting, I really feel like I could go with either. So it seems to offer a pretty competitive alternative to the 120D2, but beyond that, it does have some other pretty interesting features. It is all self-contained, there is no external ballast. Now, depending on what you use it for, that could either be a benefit to you or a deterrent. If you want to use this in the field, that eliminates the option of a battery pack, so this probably isn't going to work for you. It's probably studio only, but it is convenient in a studio where it just plugs straight here and straight into the wall. Having it on the back, the interface is fine as long as you don't lose the remote like we did. However, if you have lost the remote, that can be a bit of a pain, especially if the light is on a high stand. You have to lower it and adjust it, and that's just no fun. With all of these options, if there is a remote, it's probably a good idea to Velcro it somewhere to the light, which we should have done on hindsight. Another thing that this has that I really like, that makes it pretty interesting over the other options, is that it has a high-speed strobe mode, which will allow you to sort of get the best of both worlds. We used this feature recently in a family shoot a couple months ago, and it was really nice to be able to get the extra couple stops of burst out of this light, which you otherwise would not get. And that was helpful to illuminate a whole family that we in a normal circumstance with just this light, it would just not have been enough for photography. The 120D2 wouldn't have been able to cover it. I'd have to have cranked the ISO on my camera more than I would have wanted to. It's not a complete replacement though for strobes. In fact, when we moved to the living room with that family, I did have to bust out a smaller Godox flash. Just to get a little extra boost out of, and those together when we were bouncing it off the walls was sufficient, but I did need just a little bit more. And this thing doesn't put out a ton of light compared to other strobes and flashes, but when you compare it to, you know, a video light, it's plenty. But it's also cool because you can use this Godox remote controller, the X1, and that will allow you to fire both the LED strobe, but also the smaller flashes all simultaneously. So all in all, I'd say that's a pretty nice perk and innovation that Aputure doesn't have. This does have roughly the same sort of effects as far as some of those strobe-like effects that the Aputure has, though it does seem to have finer tuned control over them, like frequency and intensity. But two other small drawbacks of the FV150, it does have a very confusing UI, and I've always had this complaint about Godox stuff from the beginning of time. It really makes no sense at all, especially if you're like us and you only take the flashes out every once in a while. I just have no idea what I'm doing with the silly control head that I showed you a second ago. They really need to work on making those things intuitive, and the FV150 is no different. The other thing is that it doesn't come with a cool carrying bag. The other two LED lights I'm talking about both come with nice bags, and that's just a nice to have. We have taken this twice with us to shoots, and it just had to use a different bag. So not having a bag, just sticking it in the cardboard and the foam, it's not quite as nice, but hey, it helps save it money, so you can't complain too much. Our last light is also meant to compete with the 120D2. It is the P12 by Falcon Eyes. Of course, Falcon Eyes has been making waves, especially with the YouTuber community, because of their really affordable and great quality LED lights. Falcon Eyes did send me this one for review, but again, I'm just gonna tell you exactly what I think. And overall, I think it's a great light, but I think it's overpriced. As far as lux, it's rated for 26,500 at half a meter. Though in practice it does seem to have quite a bit less output than either of the others, which is actually a pretty big drawback. And here we have the P12 Pulsar by Falcon Eyes, again at full power with a light dome too. Camera settings are the same. Because I really feel like the power output you need to be able to do photography is not quite there. It was already on the edge with the other two. For video, when you're shooting at slower shutter speeds, it's fine, and I wouldn't hesitate to use this light at all in an interview type setting, but for photography, I just wouldn't. But two advantages about it. First, it does have a V-mount battery that you can attach to its ballast, which is very nice. This is probably made for field work, honestly, with its size and with the output that's required. And there's an external battery that you can get and attach to this. We don't have that, so we can't test it, but that is something you can buy separately. Second, it's pretty cool. None of the other options have this, but it does have a focus, so you can do either flood at the wide end or more focused at the tight end. Like the other two, it has similar effects you can use, although I haven't tested those really with this one. But beyond that, it's really lightweight, and it can be packed down a lot lighter and a lot smaller, and can be used with a field battery, like I said. But one big drawback is that it doesn't have a remote, which is less than ideal in just about every situation. It does have DMX ports on the ballast, which will allow you to control it from an external control of some kind. But without a remote, to me, it pushes it down into the consumer end a little bit more. It's not going to, you can't use it and control it straight out of box. So if it's going to be slightly down into the consumer arena, then I feel like the price is not justified. So while I think it is a great light and I wouldn't have any trouble utilizing it on a regular basis, other than having no remote. It's certainly overpriced. It's within striking range of the 120D2 at $540, and I can't think of any reason why I wouldn't just pony up the extra couple $100 for those features that will make my life easier as a creative if I'm already that high. Alternatively, the much lower priced Godox FV150 makes it slightly tempting if I'm on a budget. I'll get more control, I'll get brighter output, and I'll get a self-contained unit. If I'm only in the studio and I don't need battery power, it really is a no-brainer. So those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know though what you think in the comments. I never claimed to be an expert with lighting, I'm certainly not, and those of you who are, please let me know in a nice way what I messed up on or what I missed. For everybody else, if you're interested in learning more about photography, improving your skills, please check out our workshops. You can join our channel as a member and be able to enjoy those at the low monthly price. But yeah, I think that's it for now, you guys. Remember to do some good with your lighting, and we'll talk to you again real soon.